For centuries, giant squid were known mostly through damaged carcasses floating to the surface and strange scars found on the bodies of sperm whales. These enormous animals possess the largest eyes in the natural world and live in regions where sunlight never reaches. But perhaps the most unsettling fact about the giant squid is this. A creature so large has existed in Earth's oceans for millions of years, while humanity has almost never observed it alive in its true world. The deep ocean begins where sunlight fails. At first, the change is gradual. Blue light fades into darkness as depth increases, and the familiar world of surface waves, reflections, and visible horizons slowly disappears. Then, eventually, light ends completely. Below this boundary lies a region covering enormous portions of Earth's surface, yet it remains more isolated from human experience than almost any landscape on the planet: the abyssal world. A place built without sunlight, without weather, and without the environmental rhythms humans instinctively understand. And in many ways, it resembles another planet hidden beneath our own. Pressure is the first reality that defines this environment. In the abyssal depths, the weight of the ocean above becomes almost incomprehensible. Every descent increases force against the body, against machinery, against anything attempting to enter this world from the surface. Human beings cannot survive there unprotected for even moments. Submarines must endure crushing pressure capable of collapsing ordinary structures instantly. Metal bends, glass thickens, technology becomes fragile under forces the human nervous system never evolved to imagine. And yet, life exists there naturally. That contradiction changes how the deep sea feels emotionally. Because the abyss is not empty despite conditions that appear fundamentally hostile to complex existence, it is alive. Quietly, continuously, and mostly beyond human observation. Temperature shapes this world as much as pressure does. In many abyssal regions, water hovers only slightly above freezing. Darkness remains permanent. Food is limited and unpredictable. There are no forests, no plants, no sunlight-driven ecosystems resembling those at the surface. Energy arrives differently here. Tiny particles of drifting organic matter fall slowly downward from upper ocean layers like underwater snow. Scientists call it marine snow. Fragments of dead organisms, microscopic waste, and biological debris descending endlessly through darkness. For many deep-sea creatures, this silent rain from distant surface waters becomes the foundation of survival. Entire ecosystems depend on leftovers from a world they never see directly. This creates a strange emotional separation between surface life and abyssal life. The deep ocean is connected to the upper world, yet remains physically and psychologically detached from it. Creatures survive beneath kilometers of black water without ever experiencing sunlight, without witnessing storms, without seeing the moon or stars. Their reality is pressure, darkness, cold, and movement through invisible water. The abyss changes ordinary biological logic. In surface ecosystems, visibility dominates survival. Animals evolve colors, patterns, visual displays, and behaviors designed around light. In the deep sea, vision becomes uncertain. Some species lose eyesight almost entirely. Others evolve enormous eyes capable of detecting the faintest traces of bioluminescent light in total darkness. And some creatures create light themselves. Bioluminescence transforms parts of the abyss into a hidden electric world of flashing signals, glowing bodies, and moving lights suspended inside black water. Predators use light to lure prey. Smaller organisms communicate through pulses invisible to surface life. Strange blue and green illumination flickers briefly through darkness before vanishing again. The deep ocean does not remain visually empty. It becomes selectively visible. Only fragments appear at a time, and always briefly. Movement behaves differently there as well. Without sunlight or clear reference points, the abyss feels directionless. Up and down lose emotional meaning inside open darkness stretching for kilometers. Creatures drift vertically through water columns larger than mountains. Some migrate enormous distances upward each night to feed before returning to deeper regions by dawn, forming one of the largest daily animal movements on Earth. Yet humans rarely witness these migrations directly. Most occur hidden beneath the ocean's surface, while the world above remains asleep. This is one reason the abyss feels psychologically distant, even compared to outer space. Humans can imagine deserts, forests, or mountains because those environments still share visible reference points with ordinary life. The deep ocean removes those references almost completely. No sunlight, no horizon, no stable ground. Only darkness, pressure, and isolated movement through endless water. Even sound behaves differently there. Deep ocean acoustics allow vibrations to travel extraordinary distances. Whales communicate across vast regions through low-frequency calls echoing through black water. Unknown sounds sometimes appear briefly on underwater recordings before disappearing again into silence. The abyss hears more than it reveals visually, and perhaps that contributes to its unsettling atmosphere. Human beings evolved to trust sight. The deep ocean forces reliance on fragments instead. Brief camera footage, sonar returns, strange sounds, dead specimens brought accidentally to the surface. We understand much of the abyss indirectly because direct observation remains extremely difficult. Even modern exploration technology struggles there. Remote vehicles operate under crushing pressure and freezing temperatures, while visibility remains limited by drifting particles. Expeditions cost enormous amounts of time and money. As a result, large portions of the deep ocean remain poorly explored compared to the surfaces of nearby planets and moons. That fact sounds almost impossible, yet it is true. Humanity has mapped parts of Mars in greater visual detail than vast areas beneath Earth's oceans. And within that darkness lives the giant squid, a predator perfectly adapted for an environment humans barely understand emotionally or physically. Its enormous eyes evolved not for sunlight, but for detecting movement inside near total darkness. Its body moves through pressure humans cannot survive naturally. Its world is one of silence, cold, and invisible hunting. And perhaps that is what makes the abyss so haunting. It is not merely dangerous, it is unfamiliar at the deepest level possible. A hidden world existing beneath humanity for millions of years, while remaining almost completely outside ordinary human experience.
The giant squid should not be mysterious. Not according to human logic. It is enormous, large enough for its tentacles to stretch across lengths longer than many vehicles, powerful enough to leave circular scars on the bodies of sperm whales, equipped with eyes so large they remain unmatched anywhere else in the animal kingdom. A creature of this scale should dominate human observation. And yet, for most of history, it existed almost like a rumor hidden inside the ocean. Not because it was imaginary, but because it lived beyond visibility. Long before cameras reached the deep ocean, sailors described enormous tentacled animals emerging from darkness beneath ships. Many stories became exaggerated through fear and imagination, eventually transforming into legends of sea monsters and impossible creatures. But beneath those myths was something real. Fragments of tentacles recovered from whales, massive carcasses washing ashore after storms, strange remains floating briefly at the ocean surface before disappearing again. The giant squid existed mostly through evidence left behind rather than direct encounter. Even modern science struggled to observe it alive. That fact alone changes the emotional meaning of the animal completely, because mystery usually belongs to small hidden organisms or remote microscopic life. The giant squid is neither small nor fragile. It is one of the largest invertebrate predators on Earth. And still, humanity spent centuries almost never seeing it in its natural environment. This invisibility is not accidental. The squid evolved inside one of the least observable ecosystems on the planet. It inhabits deep ocean regions where sunlight vanishes and pressure becomes immense. Human exploration there remains difficult even with advanced technology. The squid's body is designed perfectly for this hidden world. Its enormous eyes are perhaps the clearest example. Each eye can grow larger than a human head, allowing the animal to detect faint movement in darkness where ordinary vision becomes nearly useless. Scientists believe these eyes may help giant squid identify approaching predators, such as sperm whales, by detecting subtle disturbances in dim bioluminescent light far away. Imagine evolving eyes not to see landscapes, but to survive inside darkness, almost total in scale. The squid itself moves with strange elegance through this environment. Unlike heavily armored creatures relying on protection, giant squid are soft-bodied and flexible. They drift and propel themselves through black water with long tentacles extending outward like living sensory instruments. Much about their behavior remains uncertain because direct observation is so rare, and rarity creates psychological weight. Human beings instinctively fear incomplete knowledge surrounding large predators. A shark visible near the surface feels understandable because humans can observe its movement, habitat, and behavior directly. The giant squid remains hidden. Even now, footage of living individuals is extraordinarily limited compared to other large marine animals. Most people know the creature more through imagination than experience. And imagination fills darkness aggressively. But reality itself is already unsettling enough. The giant squid survives in conditions where pressure could destroy humans instantly. It hunts through an environment with almost no sunlight. It may spend most of its existence entirely unseen by both humanity and surface ecosystems. Its world is silent, cold, and isolated. And within that world, it became gigantic. That size raises another haunting question. Why would an animal evolve to become so large in an environment with so little energy? The deep ocean is not a place of endless abundance. Food can be unpredictable and widely distributed. Yet giant squid evolved into massive predators despite these limitations. Some scientists believe large size may help conserve energy efficiently in cold, deep water. Others point toward evolutionary competition with deep diving predators like sperm whales. Because wherever giant squid exist, sperm whales often follow. This relationship is one of the most dramatic hidden conflicts in the ocean. Sperm whales descend into abyssal darkness to hunt squid at depths humans rarely reach directly. When whales return to the surface, circular scars from squid suckers sometimes cover their skin, evidence of violent encounters hidden completely beneath the ocean. Battles nobody witnesses directly. The giant squid resists with powerful tentacles lined with rotating hooks and suction structures capable of gripping prey and predators alike. Yet against sperm whales, even these enormous animals become hunted. The abyss contains predator and prey relationships operating entirely outside ordinary human sight. And the giant squid exists at the center of that hidden violence. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of the species is how little certainty surrounds it even today. Scientists still debate important details about lifespan, behavior, migration, reproduction, and population size because opportunities for observation remain extremely limited. Some individuals have only been discovered accidentally in fishing nets or floating near the surface after injury or death. Others appear briefly on remote deep-sea cameras before vanishing back into darkness. The animal reveals itself in fragments, never completely. This makes the giant squid feel different from other famous marine creatures. Whales surface regularly. Sharks patrol visible waters. Even deep-sea fish are often captured or observed more directly. The giant squid remains elusive despite its size, as though the abyss itself protects its secrecy. And perhaps that secrecy is what continues disturbing human imagination most deeply. Not the tentacles, not the size, not even the darkness where it lives, but the realization that something so enormous can share the same planet as humanity while remaining almost entirely outside our field of vision for centuries.
Most violence in the natural world is visible. On land, predators chase across open terrain beneath sunlight. Cameras capture lions hunting antelope, wolves surrounding prey, or eagles diving from the sky. Human beings understand these scenes instinctively because they unfold inside environments we can observe directly. The deep ocean is different. Its violence happens in darkness, far below sunlight, hidden beneath pressure and black water where almost no human witness exists. And perhaps that invisibility makes it feel even more unsettling, because in the abyss, life still hunts constantly. It simply does so beyond sight. The giant squid exists inside this hidden world of predation. It is neither monster nor myth, but an active predator adapted perfectly for environments where visibility barely exists. Long feeding tentacles extend through darkness, searching for movement. Sensitive eyes scan for faint flashes of bioluminescent light. Everything in the deep sea depends on detecting small signals. A flicker, a vibration, a disturbance in the water. In darkness this complete, hesitation can mean starvation. But movement also creates danger. Many deep-sea organisms use bioluminescence, producing their own light through chemical reactions inside specialized organs. Some glow faintly to communicate. Others flash suddenly to confuse predators.
Certain species lure prey closer by imitating smaller organisms in the darkness. The abyss becomes a world of false signals and hidden intentions, a place where light itself can become a trap. For predators like giant squid, this environment favors ambush rather than pursuit. Chasing prey aggressively through deep water wastes precious energy in ecosystems where food may remain scarce for long periods. Instead, movement becomes calculated, efficient, silent. And when attacks occur, they are often extremely fast. A squid drifting almost invisibly through darkness suddenly extends feeding tentacles with explosive force. Hooks and suction structures grip prey before retreating back into black water. Moments later, silence returns again. No surface disturbance marks the event. No witness observes the struggle. The violence disappears as completely as it began. This hidden nature defines much of deep-sea life. Entire predator and prey relationships unfold continuously without human awareness. Creatures attack each other beneath kilometers of ocean where cameras rarely reach and visibility remains limited even when they do. Humanity knows these conflicts mostly through traces, scars, damaged bodies, fragments recovered accidentally. And perhaps the most famous hidden conflict of all is the battle between giant squid and sperm whales. Sperm whales are among the deepest diving predators on Earth. They descend far below sunlight into freezing darkness, searching for squid. Exactly how these hunts unfold remains largely unknown because humans almost never observe them directly. But the evidence returns to the surface. Whales bearing circular scars across their skin, tentacle marks pressed deep into flesh, signs of violent resistance from prey large enough to fight back powerfully even against one of the ocean's greatest predators. Imagine descending into complete darkness where pressure crushes ordinary machinery and visibility disappears almost entirely, only to encounter another massive hunter waiting below. This is normal life in the abyss, and sound becomes as important as vision there. The deep sea carries vibrations across enormous distances. Predators detect movement through subtle pressure changes in water. Sperm whales use powerful echolocation clicks to navigate and locate prey in darkness impossible for ordinary sight. The abyss listens constantly. Creatures survive not by seeing clearly, but by sensing disturbance before death arrives. This creates an environment where silence feels deceptive. The deep ocean often appears calm from the surface, but beneath that calm, countless hunting events unfold continuously among organisms adapted for ambush, concealment, and survival under extreme pressure. Some predators possess enormous jaws lined with needle-like teeth. Others expand their mouths wide enough to swallow prey nearly their own size.
Certain deep-sea fish rely on transparency or near invisibility, disappearing into darkness until movement betrays them. The abyss rewards whatever remains hidden longest, and giant squid embody that principle perfectly. Despite their size, they survive largely through invisibility. Their soft bodies move efficiently through water, while dark coloration conceals them against black surroundings. Most of their existence unfolds far from sunlight, human ships, or ordinary marine observation. The ocean hides them naturally. Even death in the deep sea often leaves little evidence. Bodies sink into darkness where scavengers consume remains rapidly. Struggles disappear without trace. Entire life cycles unfold beyond human awareness before vanishing completely. The abyss rarely preserves visible history. It absorbs it. Perhaps this is why deep-sea predators disturb human imagination differently from land predators. Lions and wolves feel dangerous but understandable because humans evolved observing similar ecosystems directly. The deep sea remains psychologically alien. Pressure replaces air. Darkness replaces distance. Sound replaces sight. And within that alien environment, giant predators continue hunting silently in ways humans still barely understand. There is also something emotionally unsettling about realizing how much biological violence occurs completely outside human awareness. While cities sleep and surface oceans reflect moonlight, creatures below continue killing, feeding, escaping, and disappearing through black water older than human civilization itself. The abyss does not pause because nobody watches it. Life there remains active continuously, invisible ecosystems operating beneath the familiar world. And maybe that's the most haunting truth about deep-sea hunting. Not that it's brutal. Nature has always been brutal. But that some of the largest struggles on Earth happen in total darkness, without witnesses, without memory, and almost entirely beyond human sight.
Human beings have walked on the moon. We have placed machines on Mars, mapped distant galaxies, and photographed black holes billions of light years away. And yet, vast regions of Earth's own oceans remain poorly understood, especially the deep sea. This contradiction feels almost impossible at first. The ocean surrounds human civilization. Ships cross it constantly. Satellites observe its surface every day. But the abyss is different. The deep ocean hides itself physically in ways few environments on Earth can match. Darkness begins relatively shallow compared to total ocean depth. And below that darkness, pressure rises to levels capable of crushing ordinary equipment rapidly. The deeper humans attempt to explore, the more hostile the environment becomes to observation itself. This is one reason deep-sea research advances slowly, despite modern technology. Every expedition is expensive, every descent carries risk, and every moment of visibility remains limited by darkness, suspended particles, and the immense scale of the ocean. The abyss does not reveal itself easily. Even mapping the seafloor remains incomplete in many regions. While satellites can estimate large underwater structures indirectly, precise imaging often requires sonar surveys conducted painstakingly over enormous distances. There are underwater mountains, trenches, volcanic systems, and ecosystems humanity has barely examined directly. Some may never have been seen by human eyes at all. This incomplete knowledge creates a strange psychological imbalance. Modern civilization often behaves as though Earth is fully documented and understood. The deep ocean quietly disproves that assumption. Because beneath ordinary shipping routes and coastal populations exists a planetary-scale environment humans still explore in fragments. And those fragments keep producing surprises. New species continue appearing regularly during deep-sea expeditions. Some seem almost biologically impossible at first glance. Transparent predators drifting through darkness, fish with expandable jaws and glowing organs, organisms surviving near hydrothermal vents where superheated chemicals erupt from the seafloor under immense pressure. Life repeatedly adapts beyond expectations in the abyss. The giant squid itself represents this uncertainty perfectly. For centuries, scientists debated whether giant squid truly existed as living animals or merely exaggerated legends based on damaged remains. Even after confirming the species, direct observation remained extraordinarily rare. A creature enormous in scale stayed hidden largely because the environment itself concealed it. That reality forces an uncomfortable realization. If something as large as a giant squid can remain mostly unseen for so long, what else exists deeper in the ocean beyond ordinary observation? This question does not require fantasy to become unsettling. Reality already contains enough mystery. Deep-sea cameras occasionally record animals researchers struggle to identify immediately. Sonar systems detect unusual movement patterns beneath the ocean. Strange sounds emerge briefly from abyssal regions before disappearing again without definitive explanation. most eventually receive scientific interpretations grounded in biology, geology, or acoustics. But uncertainty remains common because direct evidence is difficult to obtain. The ocean withholds clarity naturally. Even biomass estimates remain incomplete. Scientists believe enormous amounts of life may exist deeper in the oceans than previously understood, particularly among small organisms, microbial systems, and deep water species difficult to sample consistently. Entire food webs operate far below ordinary marine observation. And because the abyss recycles organic material rapidly, evidence often disappears before humans can study it properly. The deep ocean does not preserve visibility. It consumes it. Technology also changes strangely under abyssal conditions. Remote-operated vehicles descend through freezing darkness while enduring crushing pressure. Lights illuminate only narrow portions of surrounding water before darkness absorbs everything again beyond their beams. The visual experience resembles exploring space more than exploring Earth. Isolation, blackness, brief glimpses of unfamiliar terrain, and always the awareness that most of the environment remains hidden outside the camera's range. This limited visibility shapes human understanding profoundly. Surface ecosystems can often be studied continuously across long periods. The deep sea usually appears in short observation windows separated by long absences. Scientists piece together knowledge from fragments, a dead specimen, a brief video recording, chemical traces, acoustic signals. Everything about deep sea research feels partial, and partial knowledge creates emotional tension naturally. Perhaps this is why deep-sea documentaries affect people differently from ordinary wildlife films. The abyss does not feel fully integrated into human reality emotionally. It remains distant, hidden, and psychologically unfinished. A place where uncertainty still dominates understanding. And uncertainty always expands imagination. But beyond the mystery lies something more important: humility. The deep ocean reminds humanity that technological advancement does not automatically eliminate the unknown. There are still environments on Earth so difficult to access that modern science advances there carefully, slowly, and sometimes blindly. The abyss resists complete observation not because it is supernatural, but because it is immense. Too immense for constant visibility, too deep for easy exploration, too dark for ordinary perception. And somewhere within that darkness, giant squid continue drifting through water, almost untouched by sunlight or human presence. Predators large enough to inspire myths. Living inside ecosystems, humanity still struggles to observe clearly. Perhaps that is the true lesson of the deep ocean. Not fear, not monsters, but scale. The realization that beneath the familiar surface of our world still exists an environment vast enough to hide enormous life from humanity for centuries. For centuries, humanity feared the deep ocean because it seemed to hide monsters. But perhaps the truth is more unsettling than myth. The abyss does not hide fantasy, it hides reality beyond ordinary human perception. Far below sunlight, giant squid continue moving through freezing darkness. Predators hunt without witnesses. Entire ecosystems survive beneath pressures capable of crushing human bodies instantly. Strange lights flash briefly through black water before vanishing again into silence. And most of it happens completely unseen. The deep ocean is not empty, it is simply difficult for humans to observe naturally. That difference matters because it reminds us how limited human experience truly is. Civilization exists mostly at the surface of the planet, surrounded by light, warmth, and visibility. Below that surface lies an enormous world shaped by darkness, pressure, and isolation. A world where life evolved according to rules very different from our own. And perhaps no creature represents that hidden reality more powerfully than the giant squid. Not because it is a monster, but because it proves something extraordinary. A massive predator can exist on Earth for millions of years while remaining almost entirely outside human sight. Maybe that is the deepest lesson of the abyss. Not that the ocean is terrifying, but that even now, beneath the familiar world we think we understand, there still exists a vast hidden frontier humanity has barely truly seen.